Okay, so this is a sample application. We're going to go through everything that needs to be completed. This is for the cancer care product. So for any cancer care application, it should be essentially identical, but obviously for the other products, it's going to vary a little bit. Always needs to be completed in black ink, and no changes, crossouts, scribbles, whiteouts can be found on this form at all unless they are initialed by the policyholder. So they can't happen at all. Make sure you're using your best possible handwriting on this. Someone does have to read it. Somewhere on each app, hey, top right hand corner, if the option is there, we're going to be checking payroll. Okay. Also, you should always be checking new at the top of the app. And again, this exists on every single application. From there, hey, we're leaving policy number blank. That's why we're sending this in. Okay. We're going to complete all of the demographic information for the policyholder. So I'm going to fill this out as if I'm completing it for myself. Okay. Their last name, first name, okay, date of birth, sex, social security number. The vast majority of the time we are able to leave blank. Unless the account is requiring us to use the social security number, I find it best to not ask for it. Address, this can be a P.O. box, okay, but this address is where any claim check would be sent. So make sure it's an address they can actually get to. Wouldn't use the company address there. Okay. City, state, zip code, a good telephone number. Okay. And then an email address. If they'd like documentation to be sent via email, then include the email there. If you're going to have everything mailed out, it's fine to just leave that blank. I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank here. Are they applying for children to be covered? Yes or no? Okay. If they are, just a reminder that all dependent children have to be under 26 when they apply, and they will be covered until they are 26. Spouse's name, if they're applying for coverage for their spouse, they'll include the spouse's name, date of birth, gender. Okay. If not, you need to put NA in that space. It cannot be left blank. Okay. Account name, we'll say we're working with ABC Company. Okay. The account name and employer name will pretty much always be the same. So you can copy that again. And then the account number. Okay. Then we're getting into questions here. Obviously, depending on the application, the questions will be a little bit different. Is this insurance intended to replace any other health insurance now in force? No. Okay. Obviously, we're asking that at the time of application. Just want to confirm that you won't be canceling your health insurance because you're enrolling in Aflac today. If do they have an Aflac cancer policy already? That should be a no. Okay. Do they have a critical illness policy with a cancer rider? Should be a no. Again, from the time of application, do you already have any Aflac programs? Okay, and that's it on page 1. Again, nothing extraneous. Okay, page 2. Okay, this is found on a lot of the applications now. Are you actively working with ABC Company? Should be a yes there. Okay. What kind of coverage are they getting? On the front, I indicated that I was not married, was not covering children, so make sure that matches up. I have individual coverage. Okay. What level? We most frequently work with Classic. Okay. Will it be a pre-tax or after-tax deduction? Okay. And then rider information. Note, if you are not using riders, that does not mean you get to leave this blank. Okay, you need to indicate no rider, no rider, no rider. Okay, billing method, anything payroll should be by payroll deduction. And then the mode correlates with how they are paid. Okay, so if they're paid weekly, it's weekly. If they're paid bi-weekly, every other Friday, it's bi-weekly. If they're paid twice a month on the 1st and the 15th, then it's semi-monthly. We'll say this is weekly payroll. Okay, now for this information, we are always filling in our own writing number. Okay. The billable premium, which is the modal premium for that policy. So on a weekly basis, this cancer program rate. Okay. For premium collected, we are always putting PR for payroll. And then on the application, you can always list your situation code as 0. Okay. We'll figure out what it needs to be when we get to the transmittal later. Then, depending on the account, we'll either fill in the employee number and department number, or we'll leave those blank. Okay? If it's a smaller case, typically those will be left blank. On larger cases, we'll definitely let you know if those items are required. Then we're getting into underwriting questions. Now, obviously this information is already been filled in by the policyholder while we're on site. Okay? But with the cancer program, we know it's that first question. Okay? Okay? And as long as they're a no to that first question, they do not have to complete questions 2, 3, and 4. If they were a yes, then they would need to go in and complete 2, 3, and 4 as well. Okay? Take note as you're going through the underwriting questions. On many of the policies, some questions only need to be answered some of the time. For example, please answer the following if applying for the specified disease rider. We are not, so we don't need to worry about that question. Okay? Then we get into statements and agreements. And with this, most of the applications now do require some initials in different places. So for here, the policyholder needed to acknowledge that they were offered the optional riders and personally determined which, if any, were best for them. Okay, again, this was completed by the policyholder on site. Okay. Okay. Also, okay, it's important to reiterate that the effective date of the policy is not today, the day that you're meeting with them. It's whatever date you guys have decided upon. So for this example, we'll say it's June the 1st. Okay? It will not be effective until June the 1st. This is also a really good point to reiterate that the cancer policy does carry a 30-day waiting period for sickness. Obviously, cancer is a sickness. So if it is effective on June 1st, it's not actually effective for losses that begin until July 1st or later. Okay? On the hospital application, this is also where we're reminding them of the 10-month waiting period for maternity. This is where we're giving any reminders for pre-existing conditions. Okay? Always, always, always on every single application, we need to find that outline of coverage box. We are always leaving the applicant with that copy of the brochure to serve as their outline of coverage until the official policy arrives at their home or their email. So make sure you give them a copy, make sure you indicate that on the application. Okay. Oftentimes there's also spaces for initials that we don't need to use. For example, if this application is a conversion, it is not. Okay. If I'm replacing existing coverage, we are not. Okay. Finally, the signature page. This is the most important page. Now, I mentioned earlier that if there was a cross out, a scratch out, a scribble, it could be remedied with the initials of the applicant. That rule does not apply on this page. If there is a cross out, a scratch out, a scribble, you need to tear it up and start a new one because this signature page must be perfect every single time. It's the most important page. Okay. Would you prefer to receive an electronic copy of your policy instead of paper? No. Okay. And then again, completed on site with the policy holder. Okay. We are in Marriottsville, Maryland. It is May the 8th, 2015. okay? They sign, okay? And then you witness that signature immediately following their signature. Okay? Now, this has nothing on it. Okay, page 6, we're not touching anything. It still has to be sent to AFLAC. So if for some reason you're using apps that are printed on single-sided pages, make sure that you include that last page even if it is completely blank. Okay? That is the cancer application. Okay? Again, not a cross out, a scratch out, a scribble. These actual pieces of paper will be put in the mail to AFLAC Worldwide Headquarters down in Columbus, Georgia. Okay, so it's important that you retain a copy of them along with a copy of the transmittal once it's completed for your own records.